Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to continue to be your daily advocate. If you're new here or you're not subscribed for any reason, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and following me for so long. It truly means a lot, and I'm glad that I can be this person.
President Biden, speaking of what is going on and how this is affecting the markets, cryptocurrency, we're going to talk a little bit about Russian sanctions and an interesting clip from a guy named Ben Swan. Coincidentally enough, Ben Swan, Black Swan. All right, well, let me start with this first. President Putin, I spoke with the G7 leaders today, and we are in full agreement. We will limit Russia's ability to be part of the global economy. Well, duh, I think we saw that coming from a mile away. We will stunt their ability to finance and grow Russia's military. We will impair the ability to compete in a high-tech 21st century economy. I think President Biden thinks he's got this one. Well, interesting, because I'm not going to go through these comments because I think the story speaks for itself. So first of all, let's see what is happening as a result of what's going on. And by the way, I don't want to make light of war either. I know there have been some people in the XRP community that have been talking about XRP price going up, depending on how many deaths there are. And, that's just unacceptable, inappropriate. War is a very serious thing. I'm going to do my best to be as respectful as possible when talking about this. It does affect the economy. It is having an impact. Cryptocurrency does play a central role in this. So I'm going to proceed with caution. I'm going to start here. Michael at Val5 links, trading volume in the Ukraine and their crypto exchange Kuna has more than tripled by Friday since Russia invaded the Eastern European nation. So this is an interesting piece of information. Clearly, with economic instability looming, there are going to definitely be people that decide that they are going to need a hedge. And so we are seeing now trading volume at the Kuna exchange. This is a Ukrainian cryptocurrency exchange. It has spiked. The 24-hour trading volume at Kuna was around $1.5 million on Thursday morning Asia time, but now just sits under about $5 million at press time. Bitcoin is currently trading at a 7% premium on Ukrainian exchanges, indicating local demand outpacing available supply since the attacks. Bitcoin is currently trading at about $41,554 at the Ukrainian exchange. US, it is about $2,800 higher than the global average. Bitcoin price jumped in Kuna overnight after Russian President Vladimir Putin declared a special military operation for the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. The market is seeing some recovery on Friday after a steep Thursday sell-off on the news of Russia's military operation as Terra leads the way with an 18% surge. So specifically, we were talking about this correction back up. That's XRP. Just going back to Bitcoin real quick. The recovery of, 14% recovery after we did see that initial steep decline. Well, in the Ukraine, those prices are even more dramatic. Cryptocurrency playing a big factor. The people of Ukraine realizing, look, I got to get ahead of this, put my money into Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, they're talking about Bitcoin specifically at this exchange. And also this, so this is also an interesting phenomenon. Larry Cermak here posted this 1 hour ago. Somebody donated 80 Bitcoin. So that was just one donation. 80 Bitcoin, more than $3 million in one transaction to a charity organization supporting the Ukrainian military. So we always see two sides of this coin, and we saw something similar when the protests were happening in Ottawa over the last few weeks. People were donating large sums in cryptocurrency. This is a new way to donate, and I think now more than ever, this is going to play a big part in how these movements are going to be funded. In this case, it's not so much a protest or a movement, it is a military necessity. But just, for the sake of, funding something, cryptocurrency and big donations for the Ukrainian military. We know that, a lot of people did get very wealthy over the crypto surge last year when the market really did see new all-time highs, when it did rally through this period in late 2020 into mid-2021. And then as of mid-2021, we haven't seen too much excitement. We've just been kind of trading sideways at this moment in time. But to my point, right, a lot of people made money, and I can understand why some have decided to, donate cryptocurrency to this cause. So this is another thing that I think is going to really influence the outcome. This is unprecedented. And to this point, I want to give you guys a little bit of context. So Putin, of course, did not want a Rothschild central bank in Russia from the beginning. Vladimir Putin has banned Jacob Rothschild and his banking cartel family from entering Russian territory under any circumstances. Here's a short thread by Ant1, guys. I'm just going to go through this. Putin recently reminded his cabinet that he paid off the Rothschilds' debts and grabbed them by the scruff of the neck and kicked them out Russia's back door. This meeting featured the president pounding his fist on the table and vowing to destroy the controlling elites of the world, and according to a Kremlin source, Putin is making great strides toward his goal. They do not own the world, and they do not have carte blanche to do whatever they want. If we do not challenge them, there will be other issues. We will not be bullied by them. It is understood that the Rothschild banking racket was a noose tied around the neck of the Russian economy. Once the knot was tightened, the economy would struggle. And so, this is the problem we're seeing with the rest of the world. The Rothschild banking cartel has permeated many central banks, most central banks around the world, and Russia just said no to it. They were not going to play ball. So they're saying here, once the knot was tightened, the economy would struggle and choke. Early in his presidency, he made a priority of uniting Russia socially, spiritually, and economically. He ordered the arrest of the Rothschild-backed oligarch Mikhail Khodorkovsky, who had made Rothschild, Henry Kissinger, and Arthur Hartman directors of the Open Russia Foundation. A keen student of history, well-versed in world affairs, the Russian president has studied the history of the world's most elusive organization and understands the central role their financial collaborators have played in fomenting the major international conflicts of the 20th century. Now they want to plunge into a World War III. The controlling elite invasive roots and branches keep spreading around the world, but President Putin has stopped them expanding into Russia. This is a major blow to their plans for world domination, and now they view him as a real threat. He's got them running scared, which is why he is degraded in the Western media at every opportunity. The reality is that Putin is leading us towards a multipolar world, far from one government, one religion, future plotted by the elites, and their political puppets followed by mindless minions. When he took his forces into Syria to protect a sovereign state, he further enhanced his reputation as a powerful leader. People around the world have started to wake up and notice this. So, we know how Russian President Vladimir Putin is viewed around the world. We also know that, yes, he has indeed denied the Rothschild family from coming into his country and opening up a central bank. And so, this is partially why he is framed the way he is in Western media. I mean, it all makes sense. The global elite does not want to play ball with the World Economic Forum. But the global elites, the World Economic Forum, the Klaus Schwabs of the world, they have leaders like President Biden on their side who will say, we will put sanctions on Russia as much as we can to stunt their ability to finance and grow the military and impair their ability to compete in a high-tech 21st century economy. And this is because the SWIFT system and world trade, which the US dollar, still the world reserve currency, has a lot of influence here. So Sahil Bloom posted this, and so just another quick thread here, guys. With regards to what's happening, the rapid deterioration of the Russian-Ukrainian situation, you're going to hear a lot about SWIFT in the coming days. We also know, just as a sidebar, RippleNet, a competitor to SWIFT, and how that's going to play into this. Here's a quick breakdown of what's happening. So SWIFT, in short, I don't have to go over this part, the Society for Worldwide Interbanking Financial Communications. It started in the 70s. Today it connects more than 11,000 institutions across 200 plus countries, so on and so forth. SWIFT doesn't actually do any transfers or holding of funds, but it's a critical part of the communication infrastructure that enables cross-border money flows. And so this is what the U.S. has control over. This is how the U.S. Puts sanctions on countries that they do not agree with politically or for whatever reason. While not a political organization, its importance to global flows means SWIFT is often looked at as a geopolitical tool as part of sanction packages. Cutting off a nation's banks from SWIFT access restricts flow into and out of a nation, resulting in real economic pain. This happened in 2012 with the sanctions package on Iran in retaliation for its nuclear program. It looked at 2013-14 in response to Russia's actions on Crimea. Cutting off SWIFT access is viewed as a very significant move, so the consideration alone is material. And so we've already got Biden here talking about sanctions, limit Russia's ability to be part of a global economy. So with Russia's most recent actions against Ukraine, cutting off SWIFT is very much on the table as part of the sweeping sanctions package. The challenge is that it is a real double-edged sword, though. Russia is a massive economy with tentacles that reach around the world. So you wouldn't just be cutting off Russia, you would be cutting off other economies, other countries from doing trade with Russia, which is significant because Russia is such an important, influential trading partner. It is also a key energy supplier to Europe and the world, so energy is something we rely on heavily, and this is going to be tricky. is an exporter of materials critical to the manufacturing of jet engines, semiconductors, automotives, electronics, and fertilizers. Cutting off Russia from SWIFT would impact the flow of payments for these industries. Russia has also been building an in-house system since 2014. Guys, pay attention to this. In-house since 2014, the last time a SWIFT cutoff was threatened, which may mean they are able to temper some of the impact a cutoff would have on its economy. Though it appears most experts still expect the impact would be significant. So experts are saying no, the SWIFT, they still rely on SWIFT enough that this would have an effect on their ability to participate in world economies. A cutoff from SWIFT may also have a long-term effect, second-order effects on Bitcoin and non-fiat currencies. The basic logic is as such: Russia may seek to circumvent the impact of the restrictions via a combination of in-house system and a push away from the U.S. reserve currency hegemony. And that's the big point here. Whatever happens in the coming days, there will be a lot of talk about SWIFT and its role in its response to Russia's actions. I hope this short thread makes you feel more knowledgeable on the subject. And so he just says, follow me, Sahil Bloom, here on Twitter. So an interesting thread here. Now, Bitcoin could play a role in this, as we're seeing, similar to the Russian military receiving donations in Bitcoin. However, I thought that this point was more poignant. The fact that Russia has already been working since 2014 on their own version of SWIFT. And, we have heard rumblings of this. We had heard through the grapevine that Russia had been piloting RippleNet and XRP, and certainly they want to move away from the world reserve currency, the USD, so as not to rely on that, not to have to rely on that. Guys, this from Crypto Eddie: Russia will probably not be cut off from SWIFT. O'Toole, former Treasurer Advisory, said by politicizing SWIFT, you give incentives for others to develop alternatives. And guys, this is exactly what we're seeing. I changed that word from develop to use alternatives like crypto or China's alternatives. So this just a point here from Crypto Eddie mentioning this possibility. So just back to this real quickly. Right down here, there was a post from XRP Juice here on Twitter. Just posting the screen grabs from what I was talking about earlier. Foreign and Russian experience of blockchain digitization by central banks, financial and technology companies. Right here in this document, it does state, in the first half of 2018, the Bank of Russia's Novosibirsk Bank Innovative Laboratory conducted research on testing the possibility of cross-border settlement using the Ripple platform. The system technology assumed that the settlement participants had special accounts open in national payment systems and addresses in the Ripple network. Now, with regards to these sanctions, Russia has been dabbling in alternatives like SWIFT. And so, in this report, they've said other countries, other economies would have to have a Ripple account set up. Sure enough, what has happened over 2021 and 2020 and even now into 2022, those secondary, tertiary partnerships that we're seeing with these Ripple-enabled companies expanding the network, not to mention central banks around the world, they are all using RippleNet. And so the fact is, anybody can transfer anything of value over the XRP ledger. You just have to be able to do so. And so Russia has been doing this. Based on the results, it was concluded that the Ripple platform can be considered as the basis for starting work on creating a system of cross-border settlements, provided that the following organizational, legal, and technical issues are resolved. And so they give some examples of those. I will leave this tweet thread in the description of the video. Very interesting information in here, to say the least. So could RippleNet actually play a part in circumventing some of these sanctions? Well, it's interesting. This was from back in 2019 from @XRPHODL_ here on Twitter. And this guy's name is Ben Swan. Yes, like a Black Swan event, Ben Swan wearing a black jacket in this interview from back in 2019. He talks about the BRICS nations setting up a payment network, cutting out the West before the beer flu pandemic occurred. This has been in the works for a while, so I thought I would bring this up. And for those of you guys who do not know, those BRICS countries, that would be Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Listen to what he has to say.
Step 2 is what's being discussed now, which is the payment processing system. So really what they're competing with is the SWIFT bank system, right? So right now, if you're sending money overseas from a US bank, you have to use, or any Western country, you use that SWIFT system that is set up in Belgium. And that prevents money laundering in theory and all that kind of thing. But what the BRICS nations are doing is saying, well, we don't need to use the SWIFT system because we don't want to be subjected again to US sanctions, because if the US is sanctioning you, you can't move money using that SWIFT system. So what's really interesting is, number one, they're creating a payment system that would go around SWIFT. But how do you do that when you have 5 major countries that all have their own currencies? And one of the ways they're doing that is by using possibly cryptocurrency to do that. That would translate their currencies into a single cryptocurrency that is then used through the system and then formulated, I guess, when it gets into their country back into their own personal currency. So essentially you're taking currency from one, sending it through as a cryptocurrency, and then back on the other end into transforming it into another currency. And that allows them, again, to get around this SWIFT system in a way that no one had really thought about in the past, because crypto already has all of those things in place.
Whoa! It sounds to me like Ben Swan here is describing RippleNet and XRP to a T. The BRICS countries wanting to circumvent those SWIFT sanctions. So what they do, they use a cryptocurrency. Again, guys, this is from back in 2019, a year after it was documented that Russia had been piloting, this is well documented now, Russia had been piloting RippleNet through their bank, the Novosibirsk Bank. Fast forward a year and Ben Swan saying, well, how do we avoid using the US dollar? How do we avoid that US dollar world reserve currency? Well, we can use a cryptocurrency. Now, he doesn't spell it out, but he explains exactly what we've been researching all these years with regards to RippleNet technology. You put your fiat currency through the cryptocurrency, i.e. the bridge currency. It comes out the other end as another currency, and Bob is your uncle. And I mean, this concept is nothing new, at least not for the folks over there at Ripple. We know Ripple has always been working towards the goal of being a replacement for SWIFT. This from XRP_Crow, bringing us this great tweet from Chris Larson. Ripple is working on a replacement for SWIFT, how we get all of the payment providers onto ILP, and how we use XRP as on-demand liquidity. This a Chris Larson tweet from back in 2019. We have Ben Swan here describing exactly what sounds like RippleNet utilizing XRP for ODL, circumventing the SWIFT system. I mean, I would not be surprised, considering we do have these very influential countries. They do not want to be beholden to the US dollar, namely Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So are they already utilizing RippleNet? Is this part of their plan? And are we going to see these BRICS countries, for example, expand upon this new technology for global trade because they cannot rely on SWIFT because of the US's influence over it?
So enjoy your day, everybody. I'm always here for you. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to subscribe. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and I always have your back. So thanks so much, everybody.